And I mean, I said this outside, right when they drafted him. I said Lauri Markkanen is going to be a good player because a big guy like that. I mean,
when you've made like the most career threes throughout however many games it's been of any player ever.
Now, he's been struggling in the last few games, but, I mean, he's clearly their best player.
He's clearly shown that he'll be able to shoot at the big level. He'll definitely be one of their big rebounders.
I mean, he's putting on some impressive dunks, too. He's driving, he's passing, he's rebounding, he's shooting. He's doing everything that you could ask for.
I think he came more NBA ready than people were expecting.
I think so, too. And, it helps when you're a big man that can shoot. I mean, that's a hot commodity. So, let's talk about a couple of the other teams in the NBA real quick. The Cavs have been struggling. I mean, there's no reason to think that they won't figure it out. We know that they will eventually.
I mean, obviously, they'll look better when Isaiah Thomas comes back.
Yeah, they definitely will. Meanwhile, in Boston, Kyrie Irving is continuing to impress and continuing to, tell everybody that, I mean, he's worthy of being the guy on a team. So we'll see how it goes. It was tough that they lost Gordon Hayward, in the first 5 minutes of the NBA season or whatever it was. But Kyrie, I have to give him props. I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but I think he's done a pretty nice job with Boston. And, with a good coach like Brad Stevens, they can really do some good things.
I think they're playing better than expected. Jason Tatum has been very good.
Jaylen Brown's had a good rookie year so far. I agree that they've done some good things. They just won a very exciting game last night, so that was exciting. And then you talk about the West, and it's kind of the Warriors are kind of ahead of everybody else, but Houston's got a good team. OKC's got an interesting team.
Yeah, they're 4-9.
I know. It's pretty surprising, but it's really not surprising when you look at it because, when you have Carmelo and George, both of those guys want to be the guy that Russell Westbrook actually is.
Considering that both of those guys also technically play the same position.
Yeah, it's a little tough. The closer on their team should be Westbrook. And the problem is, you have Carmelo and you have Paul George doing things that Russell Westbrook should be doing at the end of the game. And I think it's hurting them. Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs, but a team like Minnesota could beat them in the playoffs. A team like Portland maybe could give them a run in the playoffs.
Minnesota strikes me as the kind of team that is, they're going to have their ups and downs of the regular season. They'll be winning games. They'll have a winning record, except as the season progresses, they're going to get hot.
Yes.
And they're going to be unstoppable. Like, that's just what's striking, as these guys all get used to playing with each other. Jimmy Butler gets used to playing with Teague and Wiggins and Towns, and everyone starts playing defense. They're going to get on a hot stretch, and they're going to be tough to beat. And speaking of Jimmy Butler, did you see his comments yesterday?
I know the context of them, but yeah,
I didn't see the Bulls the ultimatum of it's either going to be me or Fred Hoiberg, your incompetent coach.
Yeah, and they chose good old Freddie.
Well, he's Gar Forman's best friend. And look, Hoiberg might be the right coach for certain teams. I don't think he's a rebuilding coach, and he was very good in college. I mean, he really built up that Iowa State program.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he was a very good college coach. Maybe it could be like an assistant at the NBA level, kind of the offensive specialist, if they could figure out, that the offense he ran in college isn't going to work the way it will that way in the NBA.
Right. He needs to run a play. He needs to draw plays for these young
and
players because they're never going to learn how to play.
And Hoiberg's probably a smart guy since he's not a fit for this team.
Yeah.
He's not a fit for the Bulls. There are other teams that he might fit really well on. Teams that have really good shooters, faster players. That's not the Bulls.
No.
That's not the way Gar Forman has built this team.
No, it is not. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. College football has been kind of interesting. We can talk a little bit about that. College basketball starts this weekend. We can talk about that too. DePaul's first game in their new arena Saturday afternoon against Notre Dame.
Are you going?
I am going. I wouldn't miss it for the world, Ryan. So we'll talk about that coming up next. We'll talk about some college stuff coming up next. Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
Final segment of the show.
The Blackhawks scored.
Yes, they did.
Their first even-strength goal in over 3 games worth of time.
After we were talking trash about Connor Murphy, he scored. So
Connor Murphy, his first point of the season in his 13th game.
Yeah, so congrats to him.
I mean, he needs to start playing well, or that Hjalmarsson trade is just going to look like an albatross.
Yeah, I know. And so they got on the board, luckily. College basketball starts this weekend. Pretty exciting. Northwestern is ranked number 19 going into the season. I don't think that's something anybody would have thought if you would have said that a couple years ago, that Northwestern would be a ranked team to start the season. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
So why don't you give us a little preview of the game?
The DePaul game.
DePaul and Notre Dame on Saturday.
Yeah.
DePaul opening at their new arena.
Yeah, at Wintrust Arena. Notre Dame is number 14 in the country, and they do have a star player in Bonzi Colson, who was on the starting 5 of the all preseason team going into this year. So technically, according to a lot of outlets, he's one of the 5 best players in the country. Now, I mean, that'll change week to week, but that's just how it's started off in the season. I think he's a big man. He's a forward, so that'll be exciting. It's an old rivalry that's been renewed now after 4 or 5 year hiatus when Notre Dame moved out of the Big East into the ACC for basketball. Their football is still an independent. It'll be exciting to see. I'm glad, and it's a tough schedule for DePaul coming down the stretch. They play at Illinois next weekend, so that'll be exciting. Illinois hasn't played DePaul in like 50-something years.
Is there a legit reason as to why they haven't played in 50 years?
I don't know. I'm assuming it would have to do more with Illinois than it would with DePaul, because I would think DePaul would be trying, to get as many teams to play them as possible.
You don't think Illinois wanted to win a game? I want to get an extra win on their schedule with how bad DePaul's been?
I think Illinois doesn't really want to play teams in their own state. I mean, they haven't really. They're forced to play Northwestern twice, but they don't play teams in the state. I don't know why. Maybe because if they lose, it would look bad for them because they're supposed to be like the class of the state.
They're no longer the superior team of the state.
Which they're not. It's Northwestern.
Yeah, it's Northwestern.
High and above everybody else, despite what Illinois fans will tell you. No. Northwestern's the class of the state right now in college basketball. And it was DePaul for like 30 years. So, anyway, except for a couple years, like 2005 when Illinois made the championship game. That was really cool. But going back to this DePaul Notre Dame game, I think it'll be close just because it's the first game of the season. And we don't really know what to expect. DePaul has a great transfer who sat out last year that's in this year. He's really getting a lot of hype, a lot of national-ish hype too, which is kind of exciting. Max Strus. He's a junior transfer, so he has 2 years of eligibility this year and next year. He came from a Division II school, so that's kind of I don't like that necessarily. But apparently, he's a really good scorer, and Jay Billis on Twitter said to watch out for him, so I'm excited about that. Because when Jay Billis is talking about you, usually good things happen. He knows what he's talking about.
Now, do you think DePaul could be one of the better teams in the conference? Obviously, Villanova will be the best.
The problem is it's a good conference. It's a really good conference, and there are teams that have been getting better. Like Seton Hall and like Providence. And
Villanova's Villanova.
Yeah, Villanova still is
Creighton's
probably
really
the number
good.
1 team. Yeah, they fell a little bit, but they're still good. Marquette maybe, would be more comparable to DePaul. DePaul should be better than this year. I don't think Georgetown got any good recruits this year, and they've been kind of falling fast. But yeah, I mean, they should be improved from this year. Or from last year, I should say. And yeah, I think it'll be close. I wouldn't bet money that DePaul would win this game, but I would hope that they have a good showing anyway, and maybe surprise Notre Dame.
Think there'll be a sellout crowd?
I think if not sold out, it'll be close. You have to factor in too. There'll probably be a lot of Notre Dame fans there, just because it's only like 2 hours away or whatever. So I think there'll be a lot of Notre Dame fans there, Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people for this first game. And then hopefully, if they keep winning, people will keep coming. I mean, that's the way it goes. I know my dad always said, usually like when DePaul was still, good but not great, like in, let's say like 03, 04, 05, when they made the NIT NCAA tournament and then NIT, there weren't many people that show up early, but then as they kept winning and stuff, more people would show up every game, and then by the time halfway through conference play, there would be close to being sold out. So yeah, Northwestern number 19, they're going to be playing at Allstate Arena this year, while their new stadium, or while not new, but while their stadium is heavily renovated, it's going to look a lot nicer than it was. I've been in that stadium that Northwestern has, and it's not great. So it's a good thing that they're renovating it.
Now, how many games do you think you guys are planning on going to this year for DePaul?
A couple. My dad will probably go to this one and probably a conference game. I'd probably go to maybe a few more than that. I don't really know. It'll be tough to see. The one thing that's really annoying is, so you park in McCormick Place parking, and there's like 3 lots at McCormick Place. And one, is close. It's like the main one. And then there's 2 that are further away. But the main lot only holds about 1,900 spots. And the stadium holds 10,000 people. And so that's only, 2,000 spots, let's just say. So there's still 8,000 people that have to park elsewhere. So you got to get there early. If you're going to go to a game, you have to get there early and get into that main lot. And it's also $23, which is annoying.
Wow.
Now you can pay with a credit card. It's in a parking garage, but
it's not like an actual parking lot. It's just a garage.
Yeah, no, it's McCormick Place's lots.
So the arena doesn't have like its own parking.
No, it's literally right across the street from McCormick Place. And there's
how far is the walk?
It's not far. It's right across the street, and there's like a walkway that goes over the street. So that's nice. If you park in that main lot, you don't have to go outside at all in the freezing cold. So that's good, because you can just connect across the walkway to Wintrust Arena. So that's good. But yeah, $23.
How far are the other lots cheaper?
The other lots they're either the same or cheaper. I can't imagine they'd be more expensive. Yeah, they're like, because McCormick Place is its huge building, which you've seen. It's a huge building, and so there's lots like on the other side. There's lots further away, but you have to walk outside to get to the stadium. So,
and I assume they're much farther away.
Yeah, this first lot would be ideal, and then so I don't know. If you don't get there early, you're kind of screwed. So you really have to plan ahead if you're going to a DePaul game. That's my suggestion, anyway.
And of course, it's in such a poor location to get to.
Yeah, it's tough,
especially for you because you're coming from up north.
Yeah, we have to drive. We take 9094 all the way down, and then connect to 55. So it's like we're going to a Sox game, but we're turning off right before we would.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, because we're turning on 55 instead of staying on 9094. Yeah. So that's kind of the deal there. And then I think you get off at Martin Luther King Drive, I think is the name of the street.
Okay, so yeah, just before Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah. And it's on the corner. Wintrust Arena is on Cermak. It's on the corner of Cermak and Prairie. It's right off of Martin Luther King Drive, so not far from the expressway.
If they're building a stadium, why wouldn't you build it so it would also have its own parking?
I don't know. I have no idea. Well, I mean, there's no room there. I don't. This was like a vacant lot, or they tore something down.
So my point is, why shouldn't you build it somewhere where you would have some parking for it?
I would think so, but yeah, you have to use McCormick Place parking, and if you don't fit into those 2,000 spots, you have to go elsewhere. And I don't know what people do. I think they're heavily relying on public transportation, and people just like in the city that would take public transportation to and from the games, maybe.
Well, hey, sure. In 3 years, you can take one of those flying Uber cars there.
Exactly. That's going to do it for us tonight here on Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
And we'll talk to you next time. Have a great night.